Shall we entertain a motion to come out of closed session? Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Okay, start the voting to Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
and Mr. Bryant.
Yes.
And I vote yes. I'm going to ask all the board members to certify certification resolution, whereas the Carroll County Board of Supervisors convened a closed session this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote, and on the motion to close the meeting in accordance with the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, whereas Section 2.2-3711D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Board of Supervisors that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. And we went under Code Section 2.2-3711D, A7, A8, and A29. Now therefore be it resolved that the Carroll County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session to which this certification applies. And only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which this closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which the certification applies. I'll start with you, Mr. Early.
I so certify.
Mr. Collins.
I so certify.
Mr. Bryant.
I so certify.
Mr. Horton.
I so certify.
Mr. Moore.
I so certify.
And I so certify. Okay, next on the agenda is a public hearing for road abandonment. We'll open it up at 7:08. Anyone want to sign up to speak? Mr. Newman is here if the board has any questions. Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 7:09. I'll entertain a motion to.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may, this road is in my district, Laurel Fork District.
Mm-hmm.
I've met with Mr. Slaughter and spoken with Ronald about Mr. Newman several times. There's discussion about easement through the property so that others will be able to get to their property. Could you come forward and go over that and tell me where we are on those easements?
Like you, I've talked at length with Mr. Slaughter, and he and the Largen family have worked out an agreement between the two of them that each one of them can access the other's property and travel across it.
Has it been finalized, that agreement?
Not that I am aware of.
Where is it as far as being finalized?
Well, I think they have finalized it as far as their discussion, but as far as it being on paper and recorded, I don't think it has been yet. So I would recommend that be a part of your stipulation if you so desire to approve this.
Well, I'll ask Mr. Durbin, could we make a contingent upon that being finalized to abandon the road?
You can, and this body has done that in the past with an easement, I think, for a cemetery, if memory serves. You have 4 months from today's date to act. So, but if you're inclined to act tonight, I would suggest a motion to present an ordinance to the board with that stipulation. I can prepare a resolution that can be put on the agenda at the next meeting.
I'm okay with it as long as that's taken care of.
They have assured me that has been discussed at length and agreed upon by both sides.
Okay.
I just haven't seen a written document.
You mentioned ordinance.
The code says we should act by, in abandoning it, we are to act by ordinance or resolution. And I recommend resolution because it's a little easier. You don't have the advertising requirements.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion for a resolution to abandon that portion of Wade Road contingent upon the completion and recording of the easement or right-of-way. Which are they doing? Easement?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And Mr. Slaughter is an attorney, so I'm sure he will get that written up.
Yeah. Okay. So contingent upon either right-of-way or easement so that the Largens may traverse that property to get to there. Will that take care of it?
That should do it. And I'll prepare a resolution to that effect.
Okay. And then we have 4 months from today?
Yes, 4 months from today to either adopt the resolution finalizing it, deny it, or if there's no action taken within 4 months, they can go to the circuit court.
Okay. That's my motion.
Okay, I have a motion, Mr. Early. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get with him and get him to get that drafted
Yeah.
ASAP.
He looks like he's in a bit of pain right now.
Yeah. Yeah, if y'all not aware, he hurt his back on the ice. He planned on being here tonight. He's in a back brace and on medication, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is citizens' time. Anybody want to sign up? Okay, no citizens' time. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes.
I'll make a
Received
motion
in
to
your
approve
packet.
the minutes.
Okay, have a motion, have a second.
I second.
Okay, start the vote. Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda, the consent calendar. It's you received in your packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, I'll start the voting. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is invoices. I'll entertain a motion to approve A, B, and C together. Invoices 12/10/24, 12/17/24, and 1/6/25, or separate.
I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
Have a motion by Mr. Moore to approve as presented, A, B, and C together. To have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Start the voting. Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda, new business. We have committee appointments. We do have, I think Mr. Moore and Mr. Bryant that are up for District 3. Is that correct, Crystal? One's the alternate. Yes, Mr. Moore's the representative, then Mr. Bryant's the alternate. If anyone wants to entertain a motion for District 3.
I'll make a motion that Mr. Bryant be the primary for District 3,
Primary, okay,
and Mr. Moore the alternate.
the alternate, okay. All right, I have a motion for Mr. Bryant to be the primary, Mr. Moore to be the alternate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore.
Yes. Oh, I abstain.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Abstain.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The other ones we have, I think we can do, the Recreation Department, reapplied, Greg Bunn, Chris Goode, and Howard Mayo.
Were they all serving terms that were
Short term.
short
It
term?
was a short term, yeah, when we redid the rec bylaws, that they had the short term.
I'll make a motion to reappoint all three.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Early to reappoint all three, Greg Bond, Chris Goode, and Howard Mayo. Correct? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, start the vote, Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is a non-emergency medical transport resolution that we received in the packet. Does anyone have any questions on this? If not, I'll entertain the motion to approve it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, start the voting, Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the budget calendar. We did receive a revised budget calendar that everyone got in your packet. I'll entertain a motion to accept the revised budget calendar.
I'll make a motion to accept the revised budget calendar.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that. I do have a question though.
Okay.
Should we not appoint the budget committee prior to adopting this calendar, since it will depend on availability of those people for the budget committee only meetings?
Okay. Do you want to, is that other committee appointments? Just, we can do the budget committee. So if we want to entertain a motion for two, we have two on the budget committee now, okay? So I'll entertain motions for, to serve on the budget committee.
Nominate Mr. Bryant.
Okay, have a nomination for Mr. Bryant. Do I have any more nominations? Okay, I have a nomination for Mr. Bryant. And we need two, so do I have any more nominations?
Mr. Chairman, out of continuity, I think Mr. Bryan is an excellent choice. However, I think maybe perhaps one of the two that were on the budget committee previously should serve.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Who was it on the, Tracy and,
Who was the last?
Tracy and Joe?
Then I would nominate Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore? Okay, do I have any more nominations? Okay, if not, I have Mr. Bryant and Mr. Moore for the budget committee. I'll start the voting with Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Abstain?
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
I abstain.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the Woodlawn Lots Extension Agreement that we received in the packet. I do have Mr. Newman here as well. He's worked as well as Mr. Watson on this, if anyone has any questions on it. It's pushing the closing back. That's correct, isn't it?
I don't see a problem with extending the deadline.
What was the date on the deadline again? Is it 20? I can't remember. 24th?
The new one
Thank
is 24th, yeah.
Okay,
January 24th.
all right. So I'll entertain a motion to extend the closing to January 24th on the Woodlawn lots.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, start the voting, Mr. Moore.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, may I ask you a
Yes.
question?
Yes, sir.
What's the reason for the extension? Why were they not able to close prior?
Mr. Newman, you've talked to him a little more than him.
When they bid the property off, on November 9th. They were under the impression that they had a credit line deed of trust with one of the local banks. When they went to borrow the money, found out that that bank was no longer doing credit line deed of trust. So they went to another local bank, and they were going to require the deacons to personally sign the loan. And so they ended up with a bank out in Abington, and they're supposed to be doing an appraisal tomorrow, and then get everything wrapped up to get closed, so we can get this thing finalized.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You said the 24th?
Yes. That's what's on the revised agreement.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Okay. Any more discussion? No. Who made the motion? Who seconded? You had a second as
I
well?
seconded it.
Okay. All right, have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? I'll start the vote. Mr. Early?
Yes?
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is old business, termination of declaration of emergency. Mr. Watson, is that for the
That's for the Helene.
hurricane? Okay,
Yeah, Hurricane Helene. What this does is just finish up crossing their Ts and dotting their Is.
okay. I'll entertain a motion to terminate the declaration of emergency.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Start the voting, Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next on the agenda is board member comments. And I'll start with, you, Mr. Bryant.
All right, well, just like to appreciate the staff and all they do, and appreciate this board, and like I say, looking forward to a good new year with progress for the county, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Horton?
Basically, just reiterate what Bill just said. I appreciate everything that the staff's doing, and it looks like the county is moving forward in the right direction. I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing, your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Mr. Early?
Two things, Ronald put on our desk, the land use ordinance. I asked that everybody please review it so that we can, and bring back comments as to issues that you find within that ordinance. It's, Mr. Durbin and the Planning Commission, they have done an incredible amount of work to put this document together. And so I just ask that if you would please make sure that you go through it and come forward with questions. Ronald, what is the deadline for that, to have questions back to you at the Planning Commission?
Mr. Newman, come on up to the podium. So everybody can hear you. Thank you.
The Planning Commission, at their December meeting, asked for a joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors at their February meeting, which is February 20th, I think. It's third Thursday at 6 o'clock, to sit down and discuss this ordinance with you and see if there's any issues you have, any questions you have, suggestions of changing something. You know, you like it, don't like it, you know, are they going in the right direction, you know, those type of things. And I'll be glad, you know, anytime that you have any questions, you know, email me, call me, whatever, you know, we'll get the answers to you.
That's February 20th on the email, correct? That you,
Yes.
or do you want to, Mr. Everyone need to advertise that, I guess, too, since we'll have a joint?
We will. This is not going to be a public hearing at this time. It's just going to be a meeting to discuss where we are. So You don't need to advertise, but you do need to post notice
Okay.
of the joint meeting, excuse me, on the county website at the county administrator's office and on the bulletin board.
Okay, thank you.
What time will that
Their
meeting be?
February meeting adjourned to that meeting.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the regular meeting for the planning commission, the board of supervisors adjourned to the February 20th from their, what is it, February 3rd? Is that the y'all's meeting?
It's first Monday, it's February.
Yeah, February 3rd.
Yes.
I mean, we can do it just as a work session for our board and just call the work session to order.
That's
At the
what
same
it-
time.
That's what
Yeah.
it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, it's not public comment yet.
6 PM, Ron?
I'm sorry,
Time, 6 PM.
6 PM,
On the 20th.
yes.
Any more questions for Mr. Newman?
One question I have for you. I sent you the link for the map. You want me to have the commissioner's office to print you big maps so you can actually see it and see how the different areas are zoned, whether it's residential, agriculture, industrial, commercial?
But I would like to.
I would appreciate seeing that, yeah.
Okay.
Help.
I'll have them do that for us.
Okay.
And get those to you so you can be looking at them before time.
Anything else from him, Mr. Earl?
Thank you, Ronald, and I don't know how many parcels there are in Carroll County. Mr. Durbin could probably tell you that, but he's gone through every one of them. And, you know, if it's being tax assessed as commercial, that's the way it's being portrayed in this ordinance, with maybe just a couple of exceptions. So,
34,000 roughly?
That sounds about right.
Round figures, 34,000 parcels.
so I would think that no one in the county, or us for that matter, should be surprised to see something zoned in a particular manner, because that's the way it's already being taxed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get those maps to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
And my last thing is maybe for Mr. Watson. It seemed to have been a little bit of confusion on whether or not we were going to meet last week with the impending weather. Do we have a rule or an ordinance that says we will cancel our regular meetings if the government complex is closed?
We don't have a policy. Usually I just reach out to the chairman and ask him how they think, and they poll the other to decide whether or not that's something to do. We can, it's just a matter of the board taking direction.
Well, I would like to have something in writing that, you know, that we lean towards canceling as opposed to, you know, maybe polling the members. So I'd make a motion that if the government complex is closed for weather or any other reason, that we cancel a meeting if we have a regular scheduled meeting for that evening.
Okay.
Cancel or reschedule, I should say.
To clarify, to reschedule to the following Monday, I think that's been your policy already.
Okay, that's fine.
I have a motion by Mr. Early. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes?
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
and Mr. Horton,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Mr. Early?
And finally, just want to thank everybody for the hard work and appreciate you being as safe as possible with the two storms we've had recently, and wish that you continue to be that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Early. Okay, I'll go to Mr. Collins.
Just
Oh,
say,
Let me,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. One thing, just the budgets, I do have a question on the budget calendar. I know we did the appointments, but did we adopt the budget calendar revised?
I don't think we did.
Okay, I need to go back to that real quick. Do they have a motion on the revised budget
I
calendar?
made the motion.
And someone second it? Okay, so revised budget calendar, I have a motion and a second to adopt. I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Early,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, sorry, Mr. Collins, go ahead.
Just to say thank you to all the staff, thank you to Mike. Mr. Durbin, the board, things are going well and progress. It's been a good year. Looking forward to 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Moore?
Yes, I have a few things. I'm gonna start off, I guess it'll be my first, but I got a couple of people I wanna recognize that passed within the last month, and just share a couple of their obituaries, if it'd be okay. Janet Wright Dalton, passed away peacefully at the Joan and Howard Woltz Hospice Home in Dobson, North Carolina. She was surrounded by her family. Jeanette was born in Pennsylvania in September 22nd, 1940, to Tony and Trevor Wright, but grew up and lived her life in Hillsville. She married Waverly Payne Dalton on September 25th, 1960, and they had two sons, Stephen Payne Dalton and Michael Todd Dalton. Jeanette led an active and productive life in her 84 years. She was the first woman elected to the public office in Carroll County, where she served as the Board of Supervisors in the Pine Creek District from 1980 to 1983, and served as chair in 1981. During her time, she also served her community in many capacities. She was a life member and past president of the Auxiliary of Hillsville Volunteer Fire Department, served on the Public Service Authority, the PSA Board, representing the Pine Creek District for 11 years, served as site manager for the Carroll County Senior Citizen for 14 years, and was a member of the District 3 Governmental Cooperative Board of Commissioners, representing Carroll County from 1980 to 1983. So I thought Miss Dalton served and was in my district, and I felt it right to recognize her here tonight. And also Jeff Tobler. I was fortunate enough to actually graduate high school with Jeff, and my daughter played softball for him for many years as assistant or coach, and I'd just like to read his as well. Jeffrey James Tobler, born May 1st, 1970, passed away Monday, December 23rd, 2024, at his home in Galax. Jeff will be remembered by many as a sweet, dedicated, and passionate coach and mentor. He spent over 2 decades dedicated his time and energy to the young Cavalier athletes and sharing with them a love of football, basketball, and softball. His love for sports was also exceeded by his love for his family. Jeff wore the title of Papa with great pride and loved his 6 grandchildren with soul heart. He was a loving and supporting father to his 2 children, and a doting husband to his wife of 33 years. Jeff will be missed by many, but the joy, laughter, support, and love he shared with those around him will never be forgotten. He's survived by his wife, Tammy, his son, Nicholas, and daughter. I won't go through the rest of the survivors, his mother, Frida, and family, but I just ask that everybody keep these 2 families in their prayers, and, they're still going through a lot. And they were 2 great individuals that were very supportive to our community, and tough losses for us. And also Jeff Campbell's son, our former delegate, his son Jake, been in an accident, and I don't know if many people followed on Facebook, but he's been in serious coma and issues for about 20 some days now, and try to follow it every day and remember Jake in her prayers as he's got a long road. He's trying to get well enough to get him to Shepherd's to work on brain trauma. And Jeff was always here in this room in our Republican meetings back in the day every month, and was a great supporter of our community. And I just ask for our community maybe to lift his family up if you find it on your heart to lift that family up. And I know me and Jeff have had a lot of phone conversations and messages over the last couple of weeks, and he leans on me a lot because he knows my family went through a lot too here lately. So we got to continue our faith and help them. With that being said, I want to thank our employees. I want to thank Mike and the staff, and number one, first and foremost, and the board for taking care of our employees during the slick times and all, to make sure that they were able to be at home or to leave the complex. I know Friday they left early to make sure they made it home safe, and I appreciate that, because our employees are number one to all we do, and thank them and maintenance staff for all they do, sheriff's office, first responders. And every time I was in town or somewhere around, you see an ambulance or a fire truck or something going, and your heart goes out to them employees that are working in miserable conditions. So I'd just like to thank him, and thank Mr. Durbin for all he does. And I guess I've used up most of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Yeah, definitely, I want to remember, Ms. Dalton's family, Mr. Tober's family, two great people in the community that passed. Do want to thank all the employees, the maintenance, staff, sheriff's office, fire and rescue, like I said, everyone that does a good job. Mr. Watson I know you don't like to close the building, but for, closing the building and when needed, to let everybody be safe, and for all those that have to work on it. I do thank the board. Look forward to working with you again, and I appreciate your confidence in Chairman. Two other things I do briefly, I've noticed they are meeting, of course, in Richmond. One bill that I noticed come through from William Stanley, SB 911 aerial pesticide application, Virginia Pollinator Protection Strategy, civil penalty. We had some people, I think, from your district, Mr. Early, that actually come in about the aerial spray. This is a bill that he's introduced, requires any commercial or private pesticide applicator performing an aerial pesticide application as defined in the bill to submit certain relevant information to the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services and to certain beekeepers located within a 5-mile radius no less than 5 days prior to such application, and provides that any commercial applications or private applicator who violates the provision of the bill subject to civil penalty. I won't go over the amounts. Also the bill requires the Department to post and maintain on its website certain information related to aerial pesticide applications, and allows any aggrieved person to institute a proceeding for injunction or mandamus against any person or agency that has engaged or about to engage in any acts or practices in violation of the provisions of the bill. The bill also requires the Virginia Pollinator Protection Strategy Plan to support awareness among beekeepers and the general public of proposed aerial pesticide applications submitted to the Department of Post on its website, so that would let them know what is going on. Another thing that Delegate Morefield is going to introduce legislation that will prevent the SEC from approving Appalachian Power rate increase requests for a period of 2 years, and provide the Commission on Electric Utility Regulation with stronger oversight. So that's just two that I thought is important to the community right now. But other than that, that's all I have. Mr. Watson?
I have very little. Again, during the cold weather and the hurricane, just, I'd like to thank everybody during that time. It takes a village. We've had a lot of, we've had warming stations, and we've had a lot of volunteers. We've had volunteer rescue squads and fire departments open up during this time when they really don't have to, and they could be home with their families. So it really does take I'm gonna call it a village and a family in order to get through these things. So proud of all of them. Only other item that I wanted to bring up, I know we've seen a lot of things throughout the last year or two. Virginia is still pushing, I believe, toward renewable energy. We have received a couple more inquiries on solar farms. So in the future, you might see some more come to this board as we work through seating agreements and those type things. And that's all I had. I just want to make you aware.
Mr. Durbin?
Mr. Chairman, as you mentioned, the General Assembly's in session, and I wanted to call your attention to a proposed amendment to the Freedom of Information Act. It's Senate Bill number 876, introduced by Senator Eben. I think he's out of Fairfax. But the amendment that they're proposing to the Freedom of Information Act, I think it's really a solution in search of a problem. It's going to cause more difficulties than it would solve. And the language is this. It's in the section regarding the agendas that should be posted at public meetings. And it says, the notice shall include a proposed agenda listing all items expected to be considered by the public body at the meeting. Nothing objectionable there, but you're already doing it. I think all localities that I work with already do that. Next provision, agenda items shall be sufficiently descriptive to give the public reasonable notice of the matters to be considered at the meeting. again, on its face, there's nothing problematic about that, except that you're already doing that. That's already the standard practice in Virginia. The next provision is what I really have difficulty with. Amendments to the proposed agenda may be made prior to the meeting, but the public body shall not take any final action on those amended or additional agenda items. This means that if something gets added to the agenda less than 3 working days before a meeting, you can't take final action on it. If someone comes to public comment period and brings an issue to the board, you have to say, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to wait another month, or call a special meeting and wait 3 days before you can take any official action on it. Kind of handcuffs you, it makes you less responsive to the public. I think it's probably well-intentioned, but I think it's a bad idea. So if you have the opportunity to raise this with the legislators, please do so, because it's just gonna make things more difficult for
Yes.
this body. And that's all I had,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
thank
thank you.
All right, with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Horton?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And I vote